What happens when you run out of ideas in Minecraft? I know someone, actually, this person, I really like their content. And he recently said that he feels like he's run out of ideas for what to build. And I don't want him to stop because he's so good at it. And I just think, what happens if you do run out of ideas? I don't think that it's really possible to be completely out of ideas because there's so many things that can be built in Minecraft. And there are ways that I generate ideas for myself. And I don't know, maybe some of them would be helpful to him, but maybe he's gone through some of these things and he's just, I don't know. He primarily builds in medieval style. He's done a lot of castle builds, a lot of city and town and village builds. He's done a lot of tutorials in creative. He's done a lot of stuff in hardcore. And honestly, he's just become a really good builder, and I really respect his ability to build such big things like that. Although he has slowed down because he's been doing so much work for a single video. And back when I discovered him, he was building much smaller scale things in a single video. Although he was doing time lapses, it was in creative. And, I liked watching that type of video. And just going back to a completely different person. This person hasn't posted a video in so long, and I wish he would come back. I'm talking about Archelaus. Archelaus, he built some incredible, very creative things. But this is not who I'm talking about. That was just a little side note here. So, how do I decide if I'm kind of running out of ideas, which, you know what, I never have. I've never run out of ideas. I've got so many ideas that I often don't know where to start, which is kind of part of my problem. But what I do is I do a few different things. Well, I will look on Pinterest. I'll search up things that could be related to the type of or the style of build that I'm going for. But that doesn't really help with kinds of buildings, I think. What I do is search for what is a typical, like a list of typical buildings you'd find in, say, a medieval city or village. Yeah, it really depends on what scale I'm going for. So there are a lot of resources that go into this, really. And I'm sure you can actually take a look at different time periods and different regions. It's like for example, I am going to be building a Japanese themed area. I could search up what kinds of buildings would you find in a 16th century Japanese city, for example. And that would give me an idea about what I could build. And not saying that it's 16th century that I would be building, but that's just an example of what I would do. I mean, some people go with AI. AI can give some interesting ideas, but the problem with AI is it can be a little weird sometimes when giving you answers. So I like to rely on more of an expert. So sometimes I watch YouTube videos about like medieval cities, like real cities. Sometimes I look at really old maps and see what's in there, especially for villages. And it's really interesting to see what exactly is in those places, and also what does a real medieval castle look like. Now, I have visited a couple of castles in Japan. Ugh. By a couple of castles, whoops, that's weather. By a couple of castles, I mean one was a reconstructed castle, and the other one was the base of a castle. Edo Castle was burned down and never rebuilt. But the grounds still exist, and there are diagrams there that show what kind of buildings were in the castle itself. It's extensive. There was so many buildings. The keep itself, when we talk about castles, we often think about the keep, but that's just one of the buildings in a castle. So the keep is usually the top defensive building, and it is meant for defense, but quite often people live in it, right? But or lived in it, not these days. But that's just castles. We're talking about cities and things like that. And you want to find out what kind of services are available in an old city like that. And if you're wanting to build a modern city, of course, take a look at where you live now. See what you've got. And you can change era. You can build prehistoric if you want. You can build like ancient. You can build medieval. You can build industrial age. You can go fantasy. You can go steampunk. By the way, season 7 of Adults Craft is starting very soon, starting in September, and we are going with steampunk theme, which is going to be interesting. I've never built steampunk, and I am going to build steampunk. So you have so many options, right? Futuristic, too. I mean, go to the end and build spacecraft. That's an interesting thing to do. You don't even have to do it in survival. You can do it in creative if you want. So, yeah, why not? But things like that. Just searching. Just go on Google or something and search what kind of buildings are in a medieval European city, for example. That's the typical thing that people build, European medieval. If you want to go for something like, let's say, I don't know, thinking about the Haida people of the west coast of Canada, if you search about what kind of buildings were in their villages, it's actually quite interesting. I've been to a museum that had information about that in Victoria, British Columbia, and that's really interesting. It's something that would be very interesting to build, you know? I like that kind of thing. Or how about Tibetan style? You know, mountains. You want to build in mountains, go Tibetan style, huh? Or if you want to do like I don't know, Cambodia from a few hundred years ago. Maybe you want to attempt something like Angkor Wat, or even buildings around that time. There's just so many choices, so many options. And it's really interesting just attempting a different style if you've run out of ideas. And that's what I want to do in Labyrinthum. Every country has its own style, and I don't want to just do one country at a time. I don't want to finish. You know what? This is a different country right here. This is actually the Elven country that I've walked into. So yeah, this is going to be an elven fishing village, ice fishing village, which is going to be interesting, with a mine in here too, copper mine. Yes, elves are making copper mines. So that kind of thing. It's very useful to look for those kinds of resources. It's useful to attempt to build in different styles, like what I'm doing here, as I was saying, because the different styles that I'm going for. And we're pulling out the handy map again. So we're going for kind of, I don't know, 19th century European style in here, in this country. Up here is going to be Norse, probably several hundred years old. Maybe around 1,000 years ago, time of Vikings. Over in this country, this is going to be nothing that's related to what we've got now. This is going to be Elven. Down here's Japanese style. And over here is Mediterranean, specifically Spanish Mediterranean. So it's going to be interesting tackling those types of architecture as I go along. And I want to switch back and forth between the countries, so I've got something from each place, I don't want to do the first country all at once. I'm thinking that after I do this, well, actually after I do Principia, I am going to be going on to rebuild one of the villages. And then I'm thinking taking a break from that and going to do a village in another country, and then coming back to do our typical European fantasy. So yeah, keep it fresh. Keep doing different things, and eventually you're going to get so many ideas, or you're not going to run out of ideas, basically. But anyways, let me know what you think. Do you ever run out of ideas, and where do you get your ideas? Let me know in the comments section below. If you like videos like this and would like to see some more, then please consider subscribing to this channel as well as my main one. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.